And today's guest on the Financial Planner Live podcast is Jacob Hall. He is the Global Head of Advisory for Hoxton Capital Management. And today we talk about his Hoxton life, his role responsibility, where he manages up to 40 individuals within Hoxton, including business development managers and financial planners. We talk about the international market, the opportunity there, what he did as a business developer, what a business developer does at Hoxton. We break down at the very end their exclusive pathway opportunity for new advisors joining the profession. Trust me on this one. You do not want to miss this episode. It's full of international gold. Jacob, thanks for joining me today on the Financial Planner Live podcast here in Dubai. How are you?
Yeah, good, Sam. A nice setting you've chosen for this.
Yeah. A bit formal that was then, actually, because I've gotten to know you now.
Yeah, well, that's what happens, isn't it? So
I'm
I've
like
got to do
that
it properly.
I'm like that with my introductions, like, welcome to the Financial Planner Live podcast. But it's like, well, actually, no, I've got to know you for like 5 weeks, well, a couple of weeks out here in Dubai, but obviously got to know you a little bit before as well. And it's been an absolute pleasure, I must say. It's been great getting to know you.
Wish I could say the same. No, I'm only kidding. No, it's been great. It's gone very quickly, I think.
Yeah, it's been a really enjoyable experience. And settling into a new business, especially when, like, I've come from self-employment 15 years, right? And I'm coming into an environment where I'm now employed. So culturally, it's strange for me, let alone being in another country. Having to move from England with my family, it's been freaking me out. So you're somebody who has been there for me during that period and just kept me on track. So first off, massively grateful for that. And it's also an insight, I think, into who you are as a person and your character and why you are, the global head of advisory for Hoxton Capital. So I think let's just kick things off there, really, because let's give our listeners a little bit of an insight into who you are and the job role that you do. So what is the global head of advisory? What do you do at Hoxton?
I mean, it's a title that's recently changed. Obviously, we had to put something around it. I originally came in and set up the client services department, and then naturally over time, not through want and desire to become global head of advisory, I started to look after a few advisors, help them, and then a few business development guys and people within the business. And then over time, it's just generally scaled, and naturally it just transitioned into that, which it's a great title, and it's really, really nice to be that. And I suppose when you think about it, it sounds a lot more than it is. It's I just help people and provide structure and guidance and generally put people together. I'm available, overseeing all of the advisors in some way, shape or form. Some people need more help than others. Some people just need direction. Some people want me to sit down and go through statistics and look at data. Some people want me to look at their personal businesses and see if there's any gaps that I can help with. Some people just need someone when they need to ask a question to get hold of and make sure I can direct them in the right way, really. Over time, I think I like working with people, and I've grown up doing that. And I think over time I've learned how to work with different people and alongside them and help them. And I really enjoy it, I suppose is what I would say.
Fantastic. So you've been in the international space as an international advisor in some capacity, or working for international advice firms in some capacity, for how long?
So we moved out in February 2012. So 12 and a half years, which seems to have gone quick considering when we moved out initially. We've had this conversation. I was coming out for 2 years to see what it was like and do something a bit different, and now this is home, and I think we'll be here a lot longer, really. But yeah, 12 years has gone in like a blink of an eye, really.
There's a lot changed in the last 12 years in the advice space in the offshore market.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, what I came into 12 years ago is very different to what I am now. I mean, when I joined Hoxton 3 years ago, it was like coming into a bit of a new industry, and I realized very quickly that if I didn't get into the Hoxton way of doing things very quickly, I probably would have got left behind a little bit. The way in which we work now is so different to what I remember from 10, 11 years ago when I was learning. And most of those changes are for the better, right? There's been a lot of consolidation, there's a lot gone on, but, everything seems to be heading in a really positive direction. which is great for the market.
One of the things I've noticed about you as well, and we will get onto this a bit later on into the podcast, and we put a post about it on LinkedIn, didn't we? You care very deeply about someone joining the business and being on the right pathway to becoming a financial planner or being a financial advisor, whether that's in the UK, whether that's in the international market. I think historically, they used to like fly a load of people over, 20 people starting at the same time, all self-employed, chuck them in a room, chuck a yellow pages at them or whatever pages they have out here and hope for the best. And you might find that 18 of them go home and 2 of them stay, right? But you seem incredibly passionate about attracting the right people to the business that have the right mindset, the right attitude, but at the same time, you have a responsibility to make sure that the pathway and the framework that you deliver and provide them is achievable, right?
Yeah, so I suppose if you take that back, you mentioned a couple of things there. So the first thing is throwing people in a room and getting on with it. And that worked for a number of companies, and it did create an international industry. But coming through the ranks in a company or in a situation like that, having people sit next to you one day and be gone the day after, without maybe the right structure and support that they needed, it wasn't great. It did really, it was fight or flight. You either dug in and got stuck in and did it, or you didn't. And, we used to have a bit of a running joke that as people moved closer to the door, that was on the way out. And we do laugh, but I've seen some unbelievable talent over the years come in, get going, a lot of the time be put with the wrong people or in the wrong line or in the wrong direction and leave. And now they're working in a completely different industry, and it was wasted talent, and I could name people, but it's unbelievable when I think back to some of the talented people I've seen go. And something that we've really worked on over the last 3 years is changing that rhetoric and making it, if you do what you say you're going to do and you follow the process that we give, if you've done everything and you don't get there, it's kind of we failed you, not you failed us. We're not asking the world of people. We're not expecting them to come in and go out and find hundreds and hundreds of people every day. We're just asking people to follow a process, learn. Some people go down that process and we discover halfway through that maybe a planner's not the right route for them. Maybe it's a paraplanner, or maybe it's more in an operations route. And, I've had someone personally that worked for me who's not left me, but moved across into operations and has flourished since that's happened. So we try and provide a structured pathway to get people from, either already qualified in the industry to a standalone advisor, so they've got their own team, or from day dot, never been in the industry, come straight out of university or another job. I mean, there's a lot of talent in this, in Dubai, in the UK, that maybe's just fallen into a role, a bit like I did when I was younger, that isn't the best for them. My longer term plan is that we can take people straight off, not off the street, but straight from the beginning, that have got an interest and a keen interest to develop over a longer period of time and become advisors. We're successfully doing that, which is the real thing, crux of it. And some people faster than others, right? Everyone moves at different paces. And but no, we've definitely started to get it right. It's not perfect, and nothing's ever perfect. And if you think it is, you probably need to keep evolving it. But it's definitely a big change to what I've seen previously.
It's evolved, it's changing.
Yeah.
I think culturally, businesses had to think more about retaining talent. I suppose in the international market, and very much like in the UK market with self-employed advisors, if someone's upset or has an ambition to do it themselves, they can walk away. And I think it's about, what can we build that makes people so happy they don't go away and they stay? What value are you adding in that person's life? What area where they might have weaknesses or non-strengths are we adding value to so they stay? And I like that. And I like the way, again, if I, as I look at Hoxton under the bonnet and I get to meet all the different people in the leadership team and the tech team and all these different operational, power planning, administration. I mean, there's so many different people within that business adding value. I think if you're good at your job, let's say you're a good financial planner, right? Let's say you love talking to people, you love picking up the phone, you love going to networking events, you love delivering financial plans. It's an environment that is built to create success in those types of people, because you take away the stresses and the pressures that they would often do if they were in the back bedroom on their own doing it themselves, right?
Yeah, so that's absolutely right. The international market, and probably similar in the UK really, people go down the self-employed role, which is a great, conceptually is a great thing to do. But what we've also realized over time is not everyone is able to manage their own business. We've got some unbelievably talented people in the international space that actually aren't very good at managing people. So if you're building out a self-employed role and you've got 100 clients, you've got 100 million under management, you need a team of people to help manage that, and you'll never be able to do it properly without that. We're very good at helping people grow those teams. We're good at helping them with managing those teams, but we're also good at trying to take that away from them as well. So some people, don't want to be based in the office every day. Well, if you're not based in the office every day and your team is, it's quite difficult to manage them effectively unless you've got a really good relationship. And some people do an amazing job of it. There's people you've met already that can do that successfully. If you can't keep your team happy and working and you can see how they want to progress, it makes it quite difficult for you to progress and keep growing. And those people, when you introduce them into your business and your client bank and everything else, you want them to be there for a long time. You don't want that disruption that comes. So we're really trying to reshape that as well. And I don't like to call it plug in and play, but it's like if people don't want to manage and work with business development, or they don't want to work with paraplanning, we're trying to come up with a way and a solution that they can, do the front end relationships of the business and work with a team that we've helped build for them in the background. One thing I'm really focused on with people in the company is trying to spot the gaps in their business before it comes. We do find people grow very quickly and they onboard clients very quickly because we know our brand is good and we're very, we're successful in the industry. I personally had it where I mentioned earlier, a young guy called Louis that works with me and has done for a long time, moved into operations, and it left a gap in my business, which put me under an unbelievable amount of pressure for a small amount of time. And had I thought about it again, I would have brought someone in to replace him before he stepped away. And sometimes when you realise you need that person, it's a little bit too late, and then it's like, oh God, I've got to fill that gap. So that's one thing I do with people. I mean, there's a couple of guys that I've helped in the last 12 months just say, like, I think you need to start thinking about a paraplanner right now. You're getting to this amount of clients. You've got these clients going here. And they've looked at me a bit silly, going, well, I'm not right ready yet. I'm saying, yeah, but you will be quite quickly. And actually, you'd rather have them up to standard before that happens. So it's just, it's just providing that structure as much or as little as people want. Some people want to just do everything themselves, and that's fine, and it works.
People often think I'm not there yet, and it's like, well, you are. You just don't know it, and now's the time to start building that. In respect of Louis, I can understand why you let him go before you took him on, because your character is that way. You're that type of person. You're probably thinking about him and his happiness and his future, and put yourself aside and thought, oh, God, I've just put myself into a really sticky situation. That's what I would probably, from observing you and understanding you for the last few weeks, I would say that's probably why that happens. Yeah, it's difficult, and it's tricky. I've done that before.
Oh, you're absolutely right.
You put people
100%
before yourself, don't you?
Yeah, 100%.
And you're thinking, oh God, I just put myself under a huge amount of pressure. You are managing people. Mm-hmm. How many?
It's quite hard to put an exact number on that because I'm technically there to help all of the advisors, right? We have people that work with the business development team, and then we have Tommy, who you'll meet, who helps all the pathway guys. But I don't say, well, you can't speak to me because, Tommy looks after you, or you can't speak to me because somebody else looks after you. So indirectly, pretty much everyone I'm available for, I'd say directly, I work really closely with 30 to 40 people probably. Yeah. I try and sit down with them as much as they want to within reason. Some people take more, need more time than others. But I try and be as available, but indirectly, I try and help everyone. But managing probably around 40. I mean, we have 60 advisors, but I'm very lucky that we've got some great managers around the world that obviously deal with, most of the day-to-day in the different locations. As you know, I'm based predominantly here in Dubai. I do want to get out to the other offices a bit more. But yeah, no, I enjoy it. I do enjoy it.
Well, we're looking to attract people to the business. Dubai is such a hotspot, right? Let's just kind of give people a bit of an insight into why, one, the international space is so interesting. What is the opportunity? And why basing yourself in Dubai is a good idea?
I'm a bit biased, right? Because I live here. I mean, firstly, let's talk a little bit about Dubai. And we've obviously, you came into Dubai, you stayed in the marina, you liked it, and then we jumped in a car, I think last weekend or the weekend before, on Father's Day, actually. And we went and I drove you around all the compounds and communities. And, everyone has this view of Dubai of high-rise and buildings and cars. And, you quite quickly saw it's green and it's lived in and it's community-based. I mean, Dubai as a place, big reason, obviously, number one is tax. We do have the advantage of the no tax and things down that route. It's multicultural, it's safe, it's vibrant. One thing that I love about it is people are hardworking. I think there was a stat recently in the National to say that Dubai is one of the hardest working cities in the world. And I think people are willing to work a bit harder because lifestyle is good. So the weekends, you're always doing something. I mean, a weekend at home for me in the house with the kids is the best weekend ever, because normally we're at a kid's party or we're doing this or we're out doing that or we're out for dinner, and, it's like 100 miles an hour. And it really brings you forward. One thing that we've always struggled with the offices internationally is getting that same buzz. I mean, I get in the office some mornings, 6:30, there can be 10 people in there. I've got people in there that are working on Australia. I can be leaving at 8:30 at night sometimes, and there's people in there that are speaking to people in the US. It's a real good central hub to build a business internationally. And the difference, and we talk a bit about Hoxton with that, is it's that borderless financial planning you can give. The fact that we have the licenses we do and the jurisdictions we are and where we're going to develop into, you can give that continuity of advice to a client. I'm a very relationship-driven advisor, so I have clients, and a lot of them came from networking and meeting them out and about. And I'm not saying I can be their advisor in forever and ever. At one day, and maybe I won't be, but at the moment, we can pretty much offer that wherever they go because of the regulation license we have. So the downside of that is people come here and go, right, I'm going to do business in Australia, US, Europe, UK. Well, that doesn't work either sometimes, because, you're spreading yourself too thinly. So it does, you've got to try and bring people back in and say, don't focus on too many places. But it gives you a great platform to go always. If you want to be here and focus on the odds, if you want to be here, you can do that. Also here, we have a lot of opportunity in the GCC. And as a company, traditionally, we never really focused on the GCC as much. Initially, we were very, very good with pension business, and that was a big strength of ours. But there's a massive amount of business here, like huge. And everyone you meet needs some sort of help, whether that, and I do a lot with wills and life insurances and insurance business, and everyone needs something. People have good disposable incomes. People don't have pension schemes at the moment. There is some scary stats that 6 out of 10 expats leave Dubai in a worse position than when they got here. And I think we touched on it before, but how things have changed. There was a bit of negativity around financial advice back 10 years ago, a bit like there was in the UK before RDR, and deters people from taking advice. So I'm really big on trying to change that ethos in Dubai of people going, no, you need help. The way that we works is the same as what it would be for you if you came from the UK. I mean, I predominantly deal with British expats. And it's great when you do start helping people and they can see that, and they can see the full financial planning rather than just selling them a product. And you can help people and benefit them, because there are lots of things to do here when it comes to planning and advice.
I do like the way Hoxton have positioned themselves as a one-stop shop, if you like, for all the different things an expat might have to deal with. You talked about wills, trusts. We've got a tax department there in Hoxton, investment management and full fat financial planning, and it's on a fee basis as well. The multi-jurisdiction approach as well, I think, because it's a transient country and people come in and out, allows you to hold on to those client relationships as well. There are teams call away, aren't they, if they go back to Australia, if they go back to the UK, if they go off to the USA. So I think that is a huge opportunity, isn't it, right, for advisors? And I guess positioning yourself, and you kind of touched on it, if you're going to be an international advisor, then why not position yourself internationally? Because you can service clients across the world, but at the same time, don't spread yourself too thin, because you'll probably be awake for 24 hours, right, with the time zones.
Yeah, I've seen that happen before as well. I've seen people getting in at 6 to do Australian meetings and then still there at 8 doing US meetings. I mean, clients move as well, right? You and I are living proof that we don't stay in one place. So, and we see it now with the UK a lot. So we have a guy who I'm sure you'll speak to, is Michael, based in France. Michael has great relationships with a lot of UK advisors, because a lot of people are leaving the UK. So if I'd built my business in the UK of high net worth clients and things change and people start to leave the UK and you can't look after those relationships, well, that kind of depletes your business, So Michael's got advisors regularly reaching out to him saying, can you help my client that's leaving the UK, moving to Europe or the US, which is a great service that we can offer. But again, it comes down to that continuity of advice. Once you've got your client bank, really you want to look after it and just slowly work with the clients. You can only have so many. If they start to leave and go to different countries and you can't continue that, well, that's a limitation. And people do leave now. People don't just stay in one place anymore, I mean, I have stayed here for 12 years and I'd probably stay here a lot longer, but you just never know, do you? And having that open door is really good.
Let's look at the client demographic then. Do they tend to be of high net worth, the ones that you're dealing with?
It depends on who you are as an advisor, right? My typical clients, I mean, I built my business in a very different way. When I came over, I found the business development role quite tough. I'd never done it before. So I built a golf society, which I met a lot of people through it, and I built the golf society. Obviously, the agenda behind it was to meet people. It was never I do this, can I help you with that? It was, this is what I do, I'm here if you want help. And over time, that became my main source of business. So off the back of that, I ended up bringing on all sorts of different clients. Some were in the high net worth space, obviously. Some weren't. But the difference in Dubai is people can quite quickly move up the ladder because the disposables are so much bigger. And people need to save money. That's why they're here, right? So, yes, I took a client on. I think I took a client on once for £1,000 into a general investment account. And they're now got over £500,000 invested with me, which we've slowly just built up over a number of years. And they've got insurance, they've had the will, they've had all of their different ancillary services, really, I suppose, as I call them. And I really focus on that. I'm really passionate about, making sure people are protected, not just about investments. And that's the problem. A lot of people see me as an investment manager. I'm not an investment manager. I'm a financial planner, which goes well with the name of the podcast, right? But the investments is kind of the easy bit, and I say that flippantly because it's obviously a lot more technical, but it's actually the structuring and planning that gets you to your goals. The investment bit should look after itself. So yeah, I enjoy the real long-term planning with clients is probably what I get from that. So yeah, going back to your question, clients are very varied. My stereotypical clients are over 40-year-old British families, really. And I get to normally know the husband, know the wife, know the kids, and a lot of my clients have been with me now for 6, 7, 8 years.
Do you typically find that you pick up clients? If someone's listening to this, they're thinking, if I go over to Dubai and I set myself as a financial planner, let's say they're starting from scratch in this instance, okay? They don't have an existing client bank in the UK, although that's a very interesting area. If an advisor does sit on a client bank in the UK, then you can still get that recurring income and move to Dubai, right?
Correct.
But let's say, for example, I haven't got any clients and I move over to Dubai. What should I be doing? Where am I picking these clients up? Am I trying to capture them before they leave the UK or leave another country? Or is it networking events? Do you provide any leads? If I'm an advisor and I want to get out there, but I don't have anything to bring to the table, but I know I've got the mindset and the attitude and the tenacity to make it, point us in the right direction of what they should do and how do we support them?
Really hard question to answer because everyone's different, right? If you take me, I built a business from networking. I obviously had some meetings, from lead generation, things like that as well, but it was predominantly networking. I've also got advisors that don't like networking. So I can't give you the blueprint for a single person, but you look at all avenues. If you're really passionate about something, and obviously you're passionate about financial planning, but golf. Let's go back to golf. I'm sorry, but I enjoyed golf, so I built a society around golf, and off the back of that, I met people that became clients. If you don't like golf, don't go and build a golf society because it'll quite quickly show it's inauthentic, You can literally set up any sort of networking or any sort of group. And I always say to people, initially you'll go to someone else's group, right? And you'll go and sit on it. And it's not the same. If you're going to do something, there's 3 routes to market, in my opinion. So one is business development. So we do have a business development unit, and we are very, very good at marketing. And we've been really successful with the marketing over the years. So that's outbound marketing, people obviously fill in their details and we reach out to them. So we have a team that specialise just in that. And there will be meetings for the right people that come from that. So depending on where you're qualified and the types of advice you give, we're quite good at looking at your client bank and making sure that we try and get some activity into you. That's not me saying that we fill everyone's diaries with meetings. If we could do that, well, I would never need to recruit again. It'd be really easy. But that's one route, okay? The second route is to, go out there and meet people. And then you've got 2 types of networking. You've got, I call it like direct networking, where you go to an event as a financial planner. I'm here. This is what I do. Can I please help you? And it could be speed networking, whatever else. And then there's passive networking, which is doing what you enjoy anyway, building a network of key people of influence, and then springboarding off that to meet more people. Anything like that, you have to be consistent. If you come out, set up a golf society, do 3 events, don't get a client and stop, well, that doesn't work either, right? So do what you enjoy, and one thing I'm quite good at with people is helping them with that. And a lot of people say, I love this, I'm going to go and do it. And you say, great, go and do it. And then they don't. If you tell me I want to set up a paddle club, I'll give you the, how to do it. use the Facebook groups, use this, and go out and do so. So yeah, and then you've got obviously referrals. You know, you meet people, they refer people on, and go from there. But the hardest part of this job, and I say this all the time, you could give me the best advisor in the world. You know, if he doesn't sit with people, he is not going to do business, right? You know, and I've seen it happen. People come out of the UK, which is definitely a little bit of a different mentality. A lot of people in the UK, they have practices, people come to them. It's not quite the same internationally. You've got to be willing to get out and about and meet people. And then the third one is content, you know, and as you know, we've brought you in as head of creative for that reason, you know, and it was quite amazing. I'd listened to some of your podcasts before we ever spoke, and I almost felt like I knew you, which was a really weird concept in my head, because I was like familiar with you, but you know, I was like, I've never met this guy. I think I was telling you last week that I've been speaking to a personal trainer, and again, the same thing happened. I'd watched his videos, I felt like I knew him, and I think content will be a big part of our business going forward. My view is if you keep giving out, you know, free direction to people, help people, and are available, sometimes you'll get nothing from it. But someone will go, I saw this guy on LinkedIn who put a post on. It was really interesting, actually. Oh, I'll reach out to him directly. I mean, I had one today. I had someone message me today, say, I've got a friend based in Saudi. They need some advice. They're coming over to the UAE. Could they have a chat with you? I was like, yeah, you know, that might just be a conversation and give them some direction. And they go off in the sunset and they do it themselves. That's great. You know, at least I've helped them. You know, but they'll remember me from that, and then they'll come across. But I think the content piece is a big piece. And then just touch on the last one. Obviously, we have our application, you know, and our technology. And that is, you know, the amount of downloads. We've got people coming in using the application. You know, it's using our brand in the right way. And people are starting to come to us now, which is, I think 10 years ago, if someone rang up the front desk of where you were working and said, can someone give me some financial advice, you'd think someone was joking.
Yeah.
And we get that now. Yeah. You know, it's quite amazing, really.
Yeah, no, you touched on some brilliant things. Again, you know, young company, innovative company, not looking to slow down, looking to grow. I think the average age in your business is 37 years old, I think, for advisors, I believe, around about that figure. And one of the things that's really attracted to me, like Chris touched on it on his podcast. If anyone's listened to it, then I'm repeating it. But 25 people in the tech team. You know, you're talking about the application. It's the Hoxton app. It's constantly being developed and accessible to not only your clients, but anybody for free, to be able to look directly at all your assets in one place and to also do cash flow forecasting, or we call it
wealth flow.
Not
allowed to use the word cash flow anymore.
Not allowed to use the word cash flow, right? These are the types of things I think that if you are an innovative company, you're only going to build upon and build upon and build upon. And you can tell already that Chris, the rest of the leadership team, are investing in new ways to develop relationships and not just these traditional methods of cold calling and knocking on somebody's door. You know, there are more ways to skin a cat. And I think a prime example of that is bringing me in, because me and Chris have spoken over the years numerous times. He's recognizing that social marketing, YouTube, podcasting is such a valuable way to build relationships. And you touched on that. Whenever I listen to somebody's podcast and I talk to them, it's like I know them and I trust them. And I've already agreed mentally that if I'm going to do some business, I'm going to go to that person because they are showing me value. And that's like super important. It's at this point as well, like, you know, I was so impressed by how much as a business you're spending on marketing, you know, using things like paid advertising on Instagram. I mean, it's like 1.2 million or something was spent over the year to generate inbound leads for advisors, for the business development team. I mean, you got to have some balls of steel to do that, really, because you can burn through a lot of money on social media marketing. So I think having the courage to do it and to be bullish about it and to make it work shows to me that you're an innovative thinking company. Because if you look at the UK, firms really aren't investing heavily in that type of thing. It's just not really the done thing. And they're only really just starting to see podcasts. And it's really only the major ones that are doing it. A handful are starting to do it. But really, it's the major ones who are investing in it. You know, your SJPs, for example. So the market's wide open for someone to come in and be able to deliver it. And I'm excited about how I'm coming in as head of creative to bring out the Hoxton podcast and the Hoxton YouTube channel, and how we're going to use that to become a well-known and well-respected wealth management firm that can then add value to other well-known and well-respected firms on the international market. And then how do we then distribute that content? How do we give our listeners and our clients all the information, not just financial planning, but all the information they need when they're thinking about an expat life? And also the things that they're not thinking about. That's really important, isn't it? It's giving them solutions to problems that they're not even aware of yet, or they haven't got the courage to ask. And if we can catch them at the right time, they're like, bang, that's brilliant. I'm going to go back to that page, or I'm going to recommend that. Or he just talks about tax, and that's obviously going to come up. So I need to speak to these guys. But we might be talking about property. And I think that's where we need to be innovative. And I love that Hoxton do that. A couple of things here as well. We're talking a bit about the different role types within the business. And I think we just want to clarify a few things here, right? Because we'll get onto pathway in a minute and what we like to now call probably the trainee financial planner route, right? There are different sort of roles within Hoxton, and different roles will give you different levels of knowledge and experience. So you yourself, right, you started in the profession out here as a business developer, right? We have business developers in Hoxton. You touched on that a second ago. Draw back on your experience of being a business developer, what it was and what it's like here at Hoxton.
12 years ago, business development was very, very different. You know, I mean, it was very outbound. It was lists of names that had been, you know, collated or thing, and it was reaching out to people, trying to book a meeting for an advisor. It was, you know, it was bloody tough, really, if you think about it. And that was it. You know, people didn't really network, people didn't really market, you know, it just didn't happen. It was very much, it was outbound cold calling, you know, that's all you got. You got a referral, it was like the best thing in the world, and, you know, you hung on to it for dear life. Crikey, I mean, the changes, I mean, I do sometimes think that the trainee wealth managers now, right, they're not business development, you know, and we need to get away from that business development, because my view is if you're just a business development manager and you want to be a business development manager forever, maybe this isn't the industry for you, because you should want to develop and move forward into a different role as time goes on. The role now is very different. I mean, yes, obviously we have leads coming in. You know, the guys are ringing people off the leads, and, you know, that works. But they're also helping their advisors with the clients. They're learning. They're sitting 2 sessions, sometimes 3 sessions a week, training them up to try and get them through that process. Some people will be a business development manager for a year because they're a bit more mature and they want to be an advisor and they go off and do their examinations. Some people maybe for 3 or 4 years, you know. But I think if you've done that role of learning how to generate activity, you've pretty much cracked it to be an advisor, you know, because if you could be you might not be the best financial planner in the world in the fact that you can't ask for the business, because that's a confidence thing, you know. Speaking to clients and saying, you need to do this, let's get it done, is a confidence thing. And you might be underconfident, you might have to sit with 100 people. But if you can find 100 people to sit with, you're going to do business.
Yeah.
If you can't find 100 people to sit with, it doesn't matter how good you are at, you know, asking for the business. So, yeah, I mean, it's definitely changed. These guys now, I mean, there's business development managers within our team, trainee wealth managers, have probably got a better knowledge of pensions than I have. You know, they've been doing it for 4 or 5 years. I mean, there's some people knew the Shell scheme better than probably the people at Shell did, you know, the amount of times they'd helped people and gone through the process and everything else. So it's very much a trainee financial planner, trainee wealth manager, you know, whatever you want to call it. But they're all on apprenticeship, I think, cheapens it, you know, because it's not an apprenticeship, but it is a guided route to being a standalone planner of yourself, really. So, yeah, it's changed dramatically, you know, it has. And, you know, people don't network as much as I'd like. I do try and get them out there, out and about, but because of the way we market, they don't need to as much. You know, we've got marketing leads coming in and it works, you know.
I think there's something in that. Mm-hmm. And I think it's to do with, people will say, oh, you know, everyone's glued to their screens these days. That's why they don't want to go outside. You know, you look at the parks in the UK, there's no kids playing in the parks anymore because they're all playing computer games, so they're on the sofas. But that in its own right is networking. And it's like I'm helping a lot of people now within Hoxton who've got real appetite to want to get on LinkedIn and use it. And I'm like, it is networking on steroids, right? If you use LinkedIn correctly and you use social marketing correctly and you're not on there wasting time because it's an absolute time killer, right? Then you are building an audience of relevance and you are hopefully creating content that solves their problems or their friends or clients' problems. When you can do that, and you do it properly with the right strategy, you could have 1,000 followers, right? You could have 1,000, and someone might go, "What? That's 1,000? That's nothing." Yeah, but that's 1,000 quality followers that you are creating content and reaching out to get to know that can pass business to you. If you convert 10%, 100 people that are converting, giving you business.
There's your client bank.
And guess what? You can communicate with them at any time you want. So when they're sitting there at home and they're having their dinner in front of the TV and they're getting a bit bored, and obviously they're going to go on LinkedIn or Instagram or whatever, you can have something of relevance to them there and then that's going to build that deep relationship. And you could be talking about a problem that's being solved for them at that point. Or you could be in their ears on a podcast like this whilst they're in the gym doing the washing up, driving the kids to school, driving from Abu Dhabi to Dubai. You listen to my podcast.
I have listened to a number of your podcasts in the morning,
on the journey.
On the journey, yeah.
So how can we create content? How can we network, which is outside of the box, in the traditional sense? Now, it goes back, because one of the things that I never traditionally networked, I never traditionally went to networking events or anything like that, and I'm starting to now put on events. And I think being out here in Dubai as well, you have to network, I think, because people want to get ahead, right? They're out here to make money. They're out here to build connections and they want to get ahead. So I think there's a network culture here that I want to tap into.
Just on that then, you talk about, and everything is networking. Going to the pub with your mates is technically networking. I mean, I try and deter the business development guys from all going out together because that just doesn't bring anything. But everyone you meet is networking. Yeah. The difference here is if I go, I'm from North Wales, a small town in North Wales called Denbigh, and I grew up in a restaurant there. And if I went back to North Wales, walked in the pub and sat down at a table and started speaking to the table next to me, they'd probably think I was crazy. They would. It'd be like, oh, what's this guy want? Everyone's moved here on their own generally. So if you go and sit on a beach or in a pub or a restaurant or a golf course, everyone's welcome to speak to you. They've all been through what you've been through. They've all had those lonely nights where you miss home and miss the family. And it's unbelievable how quickly you forage relationships, because people are generally of a good ilk. They're educated, they're working, they're open to chatting. And, it's so open in that sense. So I find networking very easy. And again, the thing with what you said there is about the content. Content and networking all comes back to authenticity. If you try and be something you're not, or you try, you can see it. At the end of the day, even if someone's posting on LinkedIn and it's not great, it's better than not posting on LinkedIn. But the real power behind what you do with content is being honest and being open and being transparent. If you go on and you've got AI tools now, right? You can literally go, write me a post on this. People can see through that.
Yeah.
If suddenly the whole way you write it changes. The best people I've seen on LinkedIn, I think I touched on Michael earlier, who does a lot through LinkedIn, is quite incredible what he's done. He's honest. He doesn't talk about compound interest is this. He makes it fun. He talks about those sorts of things, as I've seen lots of other people do. And it's about being personable, I think, which will help with that. But then, if you do want to focus on a niche, I listened to a podcast of yours recently about the lady in the UK that does helps people that are divorcing CEOs, which I found incredible. I said to you, that's such a small niche. But if you know your subject and you put out the right free information, and I think that's a big thing. Everyone says, this is what you should do, but doesn't tell you how to do it. I actually believe we should tell people how to do it. If they want to do it themselves, And if they can, great. But by giving free information that's actually relevant and is actually good, and that could be how to invest when you're in Dubai, how to make sure you're tax efficient. It could even be, how do I settle in Dubai? It doesn't have to be financially related.
Yeah.
It's just about being helpful.
It's and also thinking about when you capture that target client in their expat journey. That's why I'm really keen into when we build out the Hoxton podcast and the Hoxton YouTube channel, is connecting with those companies that are dealing with the type of client that we want to work with at various stages in their decision making. How can I capture somebody at the point that they are thinking about going abroad? And I love that. I love the idea of not I've got to go out now and grab them all who are here. Yeah, granted, there'll be loads of people here that you can start to build relationships with and network with. And the beautiful thing is once they're networked and well networked, they can introduce you to 10 other people that are really great, right? So that's really, really valuable. But I love the idea of being able to kind of use, I think that's where social media comes in, is that you can pick and choose at what stage in that person's journey they are at. We talked about the niching down then, right? Small niche, nice and wide. I think people get scared of niching down, but when you look at a niche and all of a sudden it widens, you're like, wow, this is like a whole world in this niche. Got the lad but I've been talking about computer game niche for ages, right? E-gamers.
Yeah.
And there's a guy in the office who's keen to build out his niche in e-gaming. And I'm so excited about it because there is huge opportunity in e-gaming. And I banged on about it on the podcast for a while, actually, and no one's ever done it. So I'm now going to work with him in a workshop capacity. That's one of the things I'm liking, right? Where I've been on my own for ages, like I haven't been able to put into action that I think. But now I've got this kind of like team of advisors that are all enthusiastic about wanting to build out their personal brands and wanting to be like LinkedIn marketers and so improve their social presence. I'm so excited about being able to add that value to them without having to do it. So all the ideas that I have for financial planning to establish yourself as a niche, I can train the process. I can monitor it with them. I can hold them accountable and give them the blueprint, and they can go off and do it. And so I'm really excited about seeing all these amazing ways that I can add value in that capacity. Does that make sense? Like,
yeah, I mean, I think you've mentioned a few things there about it. I mean, I've probably got 10 people in the company that I know what they could do as a niche already.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they have to want to do it, right?
Yeah.
You know, but there's some really exciting things that we can do with some of the people that we have in the business. And, you know, I'm not going to put them on the spot on your podcast and make them shoehorn them into it. But if people want to do it, there's so many people have different attributes which can be used. And you, as you say, you can go into a small niche and it can suddenly widen to something massive. You don't... Yeah. As financial planners, we can only take on so many clients.
Yeah.
Right? You know, you don't need to be touching people in 50 countries worldwide with 50 different types of advice. You could go out and focus on one product in one country and build a business around the one product. And then off the back of that, you know, if people just needed savings or they just needed insurance, you could just go out and be an insurance specialist.
Yeah.
Naturally, it will flow into wills, trust, property tax advice, you know, everything else that goes with it. And, you know, before long, you're a full holistic financial planner. But it's about doing, as you say, doing the niche that you want to do. And, you know, I hope you do put the guy with the e-gaming on the spot, and because he has talked about it, I'd love to see that develop, because that's an unbelievable market. It's like the influencer market.
Yeah.
You know, I talked to you about this the other day. You know, there's all these people that are making they're doing really, really well off the back of social media. And I can imagine some of them don't even know if they're a tax resident in certain countries and anything else. You know, there's so much opportunity in that.
There's loads of influencers out here in Dubai, isn't there? There's tons.
There is, yeah.
Okay, cool. Average age in the UK of an advisor is like 56 now, or 57 even, I think, right? The age of I think the amount of people under the age of 25 that are qualified to be financial planners is about 150. I think it's about 1,000 and 1,500 under 30, right? Obviously, there's an aging population of advisors. They're going to retire, not enough younger people coming through. We have a great average age in our business, but you're really passionate about bringing fresh blood into the profession, so much so that you've created this thing that you would call the pathway, and that we've been working on. Tommy's working on it, and we're looking at ways that we can improve upon it and how we're going to market it. We're going to lean into like things like the Financial Planner Life Academy as well, right? To get these people from zero to hero, right?
Yep.
Tell us a little bit about it. Give us a little bit of an overview, and why is it suitable for people who are younger, for instance? And, you know, because it's good for the profession to get younger people in, but at the same time, why is the pathway good for somebody that maybe doesn't have an abundance of life experience?
Well, because age is a number, right? You know, that's the first thing. And, you know, we do have an aging population. You mentioned about advisors, and, you know, I've seen a few other people who've done podcasts with talking about that, and it is a problem, right? You talk about robo-advice and things, which is great, and it will help, but it can't do this. It can't speak to you. It can't direct you and feel your emotions that you're going through. The reason it's so important is because we can bring people in from anything from just out of university right the way through to, they could be 40 years old and want to change in career, you know, be ex-military and want to try something different, or sports people. You know, there's so many different people that want to get into this industry. The biggest problem when you get into this industry is traditionally it would always be, you know, they used to pay you a very, very small amount or a retainer base, which, you know, would accrue, and then you have to pay it back when you start to generate some fees and some revenue. And it puts unbelievable pressure on you. You know, it also makes you think, well, I'm not getting paid, so, you know, I don't have to get in at 8:30, which doesn't work either. So the reason we've created the pathway is to give people a salaried role right the way through from the day they start with the business forever if they want it. You know, you could have a base salary forever, and you'd still have a share of the revenue that you generate from your clients, but you don't have that pressure of having to go out and find clients just to, you know, put revenue into your pocket, into the business pocket. People will progress at different times. You know, when I sit with the new trainee wealth manager courses we're doing interviews for at the moment, and we had a huge influx this time, I think probably because of some of your content going out as well. I've got people at 37 years old and people at 21 years old, and some people would discount the younger people because they haven't got life experience, but I actually see them as just as good a candidate because they might take a little bit longer, but they're so much more moldable. You know, if someone's got a passion for financial planning or passion for helping people, you can bring them in at 21. They've just come out of university and they're like sponges. You can absorb information. You can do your qualifications. Age is just, as I said, it's just a number. I mean, there's a young guy we brought on, Jack, who you've met in the office, who does all of our wills. I mean, I interviewed Jack, time goes quick, probably 18 months ago. Jack came into the business and he was UK qualified planner. He did his exams, actually. It's quite a funny story. When he's in uni, COVID was happening, so he thought, well, you know, I can't go out much, so I'll do my financial planning exams while I'm in university as well as my degree, which is incredible. And he came over and everyone was like, God, this guy's young. He then ended up setting up our wills department or taking over our wills department and developing it, and he's grown it out, you know, to one of the most successful departments in the business. He's 22 years old.
Yeah.
And, you know, I take him to meet clients that are 65 years old, sits them down, and they kind of look at me a little bit and go, crikey, this guy's young, but he knows his subject. So why does it matter how old he is?
Yeah.
You know, and they all end up, you know, getting the right advice and getting things. So, yeah, age is a number, but I really want anyone within a certain age that wants to change a career and wants to look at this to speak to us, you know, and because everyone has different attributes.
100%. Speaking of Jack,
Yep.
well impressed. Loves his golf. You love your golf. I've got a feeling I'm going to be getting into golf out here, which is expensive, right? But I like the Top Golf.
Yeah.
He took me to Top Golf in Dubai with an amazing view behind it, and we had a really good time. But you're right? He's younger, but he's somebody that I've connected with so well since I've been here, and he is so commercially aware, ambitious, clever. I mean, he told me he'd give up drinking at like 21 years old. He doesn't do anything like that. He focuses on his business. He did 190 K's worth of business or something along those lines, right? He's 22 years old. He's self-employed, so he's on a split, right? He gets a small basic, doesn't he now, I think, yeah? I'm not going to say everyone what he earns, but he earns a hell of a lot more than a lot of advisors do in the UK, and he's 22 years old.
And he's 22 years old and a fee-based advisor. You know, it's itemised fee business. He does wills, trust. He does give advice as well, which he really enjoys. But, you know, he's just doing what he would be doing in the UK, but in the international market.
Yeah, absolutely. And there is opportunity for people of all ages. And I'm really pumped about that because that's been my ethos. One of my biggest higher purpose goals with the Financial Planner Life was to reduce the advice gap. Even higher than that is to create financial well-being, which even higher than that makes families more secure, people's mental health better. And we need young people in here coming through the ranks to be able to offer that and deliver that service, because an app can't do that. An app can add some value, but it's not going to be able to create human-to-human connection and solve those problems. So I'm really passionate that our purpose aligns as two businesses, and this is why I'm coming on board again, and I just want people to understand that. Really pleased that people are applying to the pathway. I think I've got about 160 applications in one day to guys.
Is that why I've got a busy diary of interviews next week?
That's why you've got a busy diary, I'm afraid. Sorry about that. Love the pathway. Just anybody listening to it. So if they're interested in joining, let's join on up. Right, there is a lot of interest in it. You know, we can't take on everybody, can we? At this point in time, and we're going to improve the processes as well. So hopefully bringing in things like video interviewing, where people can, everyone gets an interview, goes through a testing system where we can kind of decline people or accept people based on not having to have an actual face-to-face conversation with them, which is good for everybody. Are they UK-based first? Can they come straight out to Dubai? Can they go straight to Australia? Can they go straight to the USA? People are probably confused. Okay. So how does it work?
So initially, the way that we've structured it initially is we've started it off with the trainee wealth manager course and the pathway course starting in the UK. Main reason for that is we're predominantly recruiting from the UK, right? So as you know, there's a lot of Brits in our company. So we've started out the UK office, okay? The plan with that is we take 2 intakes per year at the moment, and they go into the office and they spend 6 months, 5 to 6 months, depending on the progression, working out of the UK office. On rotation, we've got people in the UK that work closely with them, and then on rotation, different people go back. Tommy goes back, Kane goes back, spends time, does training with them. They have a roadmap of sessions of training they're going to have, which is going to change course to course because things evolve. That's everything from how to develop business right through to how to sit with a client, to soft skills, to how to use cash flow planning. Even when they're a business development manager, they're learning about this, or a trainee wealth manager, they're learning about this, after 3 months. Because the sooner we can start putting that content in front of them, they understand the process of the financial planning, which when they're speaking to the leads that are coming in from the marketing or their meeting, well, they already know how it's going to go. They're not just booking a meeting, they're actually talking about what it's going to be. So they'll do 3 to 6 months. 6 months is the kind of the turnaround horizon. And then what we do in that time is we bring them over for a couple of weeks to see Dubai, because at the moment they come from the UK to Dubai, right? The idea then would be a bit like hub and spoke. So they start in the UK, come over to here, and then can go off anywhere they want in the world, really, where we have an office over time. And as we develop out the other offices, which is something we're really passionate about, we've got New York, Sydney, Cyprus, potentially South Africa at some point. We're obviously, we have the office here in Dubai, and I don't know where Chris finds the time, but I think we've got about another 30 offices in his mind over the next God knows how many years. But we're ticking off the big hubs. It may be that changes. It may be that people start in the UK, stay in the UK, which is also great. I mean, the UK, I still think, is one of the biggest opportunities we have. And if you take on a client bank in the UK and they leave and you can continue to look after them, well, perfect, right?
Yeah.
Not everybody wants to live in Dubai.
No.
So they start in the UK, come over here and now. Longer term, I think that might be UK to US, UK to Australia. I genuinely think we could have 100 people on a trainee wealth manager course. The actual course is great, but it just takes time.
I think we're going to have one of the leading financial planning academies in the world. I genuinely believe that. There was a purpose and a reason why I set up the Financial Planner Life Academy, and I think it's leading to this. I think we're going to build out, if I can get 75 people in my academy online, interested and keen and studying, right? What can we do if we can actually get them on the phones, get them in front of clients, get them learning the actual job on the job, give them a basic salary? I can't see that we can't do it. And over time, I think we can. So I'm really excited about it.
We do need to do that in a northern capacity as well, though. Bear in mind, I'm from the north.
Yeah.
We can't just do it down south. So over time, hopefully, we'll be doing something up in the northwest as well, because we've got some great candidates up there as well.
Well, there's huge opportunity, and we touched on it a second ago in respect of, look, if you're a financial advisor right now and you're unhappy where you are and you have existing client relationships, speak to us, because there are lots of advisors, massively qualified, that are living in the sun, enjoying the sun, still servicing their existing client banks. And their existing client banks are what's allowing them and giving them access to be able to sit in south of France, like Michael, talking about chickens every Tuesday on LinkedIn, right? But seeing his clients over in South Africa, seeing his expat clients in France, or going back to the UK and seeing clients. So there's a huge opportunity for existing advisors who are sitting on client banks right now and kind of twiddling in their thumbs and not quite sure what they want to do. And obviously there's an advisor population that want to retire. This could be an excellent opportunity to actually retire. If you want to have some capital raised, maybe from your client book, we're talking to people around that as well. I've got this younger girl who is in London, and she's got a fantastic book of business. She's under 30, but she wants to buy a house. And it's like, well, look, we can do something there. That's cool. That's no problem. There's loads of flexibility that we can actually offer in the UK to UK-based advisors. So I just want to put it out there. If you're interested in Hoxton, whether it's to work abroad, whether it's to have international access and license, whether it's just to remain in the UK as an IFA and be employed or be self-employed, just reach out and let's have a conversation.
The funny thing there, and I say this because there's obviously a bit of a stigma sometimes for people about the international market, right?
Yeah.
I get it. I do get it. But I've got a young guy joining us soon who qualified, 30 million under management in the UK, friends over here, like the idea of living in Dubai. I said, well, just come up. I went and met him actually in the UK. And then I said, come over and see us. Just come and see, come to the office, come and spend a week in the office, come and speak to the key stakeholders in the business, get a feel for it. Because he was nervous. He was like, I've read this or things. So I said, come over, and it was great. He came in, he went round, I set him up with basically a lot of, not interviews, but like conversations with the right people. He went back and I thought he'd been spooked. He just went thing. And anyway, he'd had a bit going on with life. And then he popped up in March and was like, I'm still thinking, I'm really sorry this had happened and whatever else. And some family things were going on. He's coming over in July,
Lovely.
And he's so excited. I've been speaking to him quite a little bit about it. And he came over, kicked the tyres, as you call it, and, was really, really impressed. And I'm really excited to have him on. He's a chartered planner in the UK, and he'll do really, really well over here. But yeah, I mean, if you want to stay in the UK, you want to leave the UK, you want to do a bit of both. We live in a world now where we can work from pretty much anywhere in the world, right? You know, I like to do this. You know, I can't do that with everyone in the world, but you know, we do live in a world where you can speak to people all over. So yeah, come over and have a look. The other thing you touched on before is this pathway, and I feel like you know what I'm like. I do jump around a little bit. There is no reason. I mean, people do leave companies and they do move on and, you know, things. But one thing we're really good at, and I think I'm living proof. I mean, I came over to be an advisor and then I helped do some client services and then now I'm managing, is if people want to progress, the opportunity is there to progress. You know, if people want to manage a business or they want to open a new office, we're all ears, you know, and that's really exciting for us. And that continuity of staying at one company, you know, you could start with us in the UK, move over to Dubai, become an advisor, go to New York, stay with us hopefully for another God knows how many years, and then you could retire out of the same company. You know, not a lot of people offer that and can do that, you know, and moving's bloody hard work, you know, and if you don't need to move, because hopefully we keep doing right and we, you know, I'm biased, but I think we're doing a great job and I'm really, really proud of everything we're doing and how we're driving it forwards. Hopefully people just stay and continue growing forever. And then, you know, we have the service now where you can, if you mentioned, you know, you want to slow down a little bit, you can get someone to help service your relationship.
Yeah, huge amount of opportunities. Jacob, I literally could talk to you all day. Just want to say massive thank you to you for looking after me over in Dubai, making that transition for me so much easier, because it's not, as you said, it is scary. I experienced a bit of a wobble over the last few days, and instantly you, in your natural empathic state and wanting to solve problems, came in and solved it for me. And Chris got involved as well. So I just wanted to say thank you for that. I think anybody that's going to be coming in and working underneath you anyway is going to get a hell of a leader who leads by example, because you have a book of business yourself that you're looking after. You are an advisor whilst managing all those people. So big thank you on that one. Really looking forward to growing this business with you even further. Really looking forward to attracting new talent to Hoxton. And I just know it's going to be a hell of a ride for the next 10 years. I just know that for sure.
You can't stop after 10 years, Sam.
No.
But no. I mean, same thing. I mean, I've really enjoyed spending time with you. Thank you, because, I mean, you've already opened my eyes to a lot of things. And it's, you know, we're very lucky to have you on board and, you know, worked closely together with you going forward.
Fabulous. Great stuff. Jacob, thank you so much for sharing your journey and Hoxton life on the Financial Planner Life.
Anytime, Sam.
Cheers.